He's a tough, street-fighting lawyer with the highest ratings for honesty and integrity. He's here for you every Saturday morning to answer your legal questions and get you the help you need. You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram of Ingram Law, live from the studios of News Radio 105.5 WERC. Call in now, 439-9372. That's 439-9372, and ask Joe your legal question, or email the show at questions@joeingramlaw.com. Joe Ingram has more than 20 years experience fighting for his clients here in the state of Alabama. Joe's focus is criminal defense and family law. You don't have to face your legal issue alone. You've got Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, on your side. In case of sensitive legal matters, you can always reach out directly to Joe at joeingramlaw.com and arrange for a private consultation. And now, Birmingham's defender of the defenseless, protector of the people, and all-around good guy, Joe Ingram.
All right. Today is February the 22nd, 6:06. This is a Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram on the north side of Birmingham by the Regions baseball field. This is our 8th show live here in 105 WERC radio. Today, we're going to blow your mind. This is going to be a fascinating conversation. I'm not kidding, folks. You better wake up, have your cup of coffee. You better lock in. You better get loaded. Today, we have somebody in the studio with me that is brilliant. He is a lawyer. He has a philosophy degree. He has a divinity degree. He has a JD from Fordham. And he teaches at Stillman College in Tuscaloosa. Dr. Gordon Govens is in the house.
Hello. That is quite the introduction that you made. I didn't realize I had all of those degrees, or that at least that they sounded so good. I'm getting introduced on the radio.
And this wonderful gentleman drove from Tuscaloosa, met me in the parking lot in the dark, and bang's in the house. It's 29 degrees again. What are we doing? Wow. Man, Bang and his cotton candy drink, we did the little taste test. It became a solid. Bang, did you take a knife and just slice it up and put it in your mouth and eat cotton candy? He can't talk to us. This is the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. Folks, today, it ain't about me. It's about all of us in a big way. The American way, the human way. How about that? You agree with that?
I agree.
And
today, this topic is about who we are, or who we think we are as Americans.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about.
And so just to give you the skinny real quick, I do everything, anything. I'm a lawyer. That's my calling card. End of story. And we've sat here and we're going to cover the entire human race and probably the entire Constitution. And we're hoping that somebody listens this morning, because if this isn't going to be a debate, I don't know what is. And I think we're both intelligent enough that if we can't do this, man, we should be a live radio show.
I don't think it's going to be a debate. I think that you and I, as both lawyers and historians, are going to shape an argument so that the people out there who are listening are going to do some deep thinking about what they believe about being Americans, what it means to be American.
Okay.
All right.
How
That's
you
what I
want to
think.
start this, Doc?
Well, you and I talked about what we were going to, we discussed what we were going to talk about this morning a couple of days ago. And I said, let's talk about immigration. And then before the show started, we sat here and went back and forth. We found ourselves back to the original sin, and we moved our way all the way through Africa, all the way into the Americas and the Native Americans. And then we moved to modern day.
India.
We went to India.
We went to Egypt.
We went all over the world. And we were talking about race. We were talking about concepts of assimilation, what that meant, what immigration meant. So why don't we start it this way? I'm going to ask you, let's set the parameters first, okay? Do you believe that we should have absolutely no immigration whatsoever in the United States?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good. I agree. All right. Do you believe that there should be no standards at all for immigration? It should be come one, come all. No standards at all. You want to come into the country, open borders, no problem.
No.
I agree. All right. So somewhere in the middle there, what is the problem with our immigration policy today? What do you think is the problem with our immigration policy today?
The problem is that we have a Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
The Constitution says you follow the rules.
Right.
You follow the law. You come here legally.
Right.
You fill out some papers.
Right.
You apply. You go through classes. And then you take the Pledge of Allegiance to be a United States American citizen.
Agreed. What's the problem now? What's been the problem?
Well, the last 4 years, we've let everybody from everywhere, anywhere, Chinese, MS-13, just walk across the border. And they come across the border waving their flag, and they say, we're going to take over your country.
We have had an immigration problem for a very long. When you and I met, I told you I did an immigration show in Seattle many years ago in 2002, and it was on immigration. And I was talking about the same things in 2002 that we're talking about now in 2005. It was problems with the border, poor border security, where folks who were not within the legal pipeline were coming across the border. So we've had this problem not over the last 4 years. This is not a Trump or Biden thing. This has been the problem for the last 50 years in the United States, the immigration problem, right? And securing the borders has been going on for the last at least 25 years, 30 years. Why is there so much fervor now about the border problem now? Why has there been such a problem? Why has there been such an issue now over the last 4 to 8 years, let's say, about the border? The border's been porous for a long time.
Well, because we went through 9/11. We fought our treasure, our blood and treasure, God and treasure. Fought 2 wars. Lived and died. Afghanistan, Iraq, all over the world for our borders.
That's a fair point. After 9/11, the stakes got higher, right?
Yeah, that was D-Day.
The stakes got higher, right? The border stakes got higher.
Yeah.
Right. No, understood. The border stakes got higher after 9/11. And what's been happening over the last 4 years? What's been happening over the last 8 years has been our security, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're concerned about. You're concerned about espionage in the United States. we're concerned about terrorists coming into the United States, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. What about the poor? What about folks who are coming to America to realize the American dream? Do we give some grace to them? I don't have a position on it one way or the other. Do we give some grace to, not to the terrorists? We don't want the terrorists. We don't want the MS-13. We don't want the criminals. We don't want them. What about the folks who are saying, we want to come into the United States because we want to experience the American dream? Why? Because things are so poor in our country. Situation is so terrible in our country. And we see the United States as the shining beacon, shining city on the hill.
You got that for me. Give me credit.
We see you.
Governor John Winthrop of Virginia. Come on.
You know where he got that from?
Yeah. Come on.
John Calvin, all right, in the 16th century.
There we see, we're both historians. We're both pretty well read.
So what do we tell? You're representing the United States out there in the rest of the world, you, Joe. And someone stands up and says, I am being persecuted here in this country, and America is the only hope for my family. What do we do for them? Now, I'm not talking about the criminals where they've as Trump has said or alluded to, they've emptied the jails to have the criminals come to the United States, which I find ironic, by the way, if you know the history of the founding of this country, right? What about those who actually want to come to the United States for a better way of life? What do we say to them?
You just answer your own question.
Okay.
All right. Put it back. Answer your own question.
What do we do with them?
Yeah.
Do we create a policy that makes a path for them, a faster path for them to get to the United States? I mean, that's I think we do have policies now that if individuals are being persecuted in their countries, they get a faster track into the United States. Asylum seekers. We call those asylum seekers, right? We call them asylum seekers. Should we put them in a different category than the criminals and then create a path for them? And at the same time, instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, getting rid of the criminals, right? Or potential criminals. But at the same time, bringing in people who want to take part in the American dream. Do you have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with anyone coming here. I'm not exclude. Look, I'm a criminal lawyer. I'm a lawyer.
Right.
I am a lawyer. Red, white, and blue. And all of that implies.
Right.
So this is a great debate. The question goes back to you. Answer your own question.
Well, you posed the question for me.
No. What do you think assimilate means in America?
Because America has always been an amalgamation of various cultures. Has always been that. Ever since immigration began in the United States in the 19th century, early 19th century, when you had Europeans coming from different countries coming into the United States, you already had the enslaved people here in the United States that brought culture. So as this country has brought in more cultures, created more innovation, who've brought more innovation into the country, brought different music, different ideas, and so forth. The question then becomes, what is the basic American culture to which you want to have people assimilate? Because I hear this trope a lot. It says, we want people to assimilate into this culture. And then my question becomes, well, what does that look like? Like, what do you want? Do you want them to give up their names? Do you want them to give up parts of their culture? Do you want to give them parts of their heritage? Is it just a matter of language? Is it you don't want them to wear their hairstyles a certain way? Do you not want them to speak in their native language? What about their religion? So my question becomes, and I'd like for people to call in to help me out here, which is when you say you want those who come into this country legally, let's say legally, to assimilate, what does it mean for you to say that they have assimilated? For me, assimilate means you're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. Means you took an oath, you take that oath when you become a citizen, and you take an oath that you're going to follow the Constitution of the United States. You are going to follow the laws of this country. You are going to make sure to safeguard the rights of others and not infringe upon the rights of others. That's the minimum level. You're going to pay your taxes. You're going to make sure that your children are educated. To me, that's the minimum level of assimilation that I'm looking for when people come into this country. That's the minimum level. Is there another level that you believe? Come on, keep it real. Keep it real, Joe. Keep it real.
It's not what I believe.
Come on, well, keep it real. Come on. You're letting me filibuster here, all right?
Assimilate.
You looked up the
No.
definition.
You're looking too.
No. I'm not looking at. Go.
Hey,
go. Go.
Between us, we're almost the same age. we have equal degrees of intelligence and education.
I agree.
Absorb into the system, into the cultural tradition of a population or a group for immigration.
Read that again.
Absorb into the system.
Mm-hmm.
Absorb into the cultural tradition of a population or a group.
Absorb into the, say it again.
Into the cultural
traditions
of a population or a group.
Right, or a group. Okay. So who's the group that they need to assimilate into? You said absorb into the cultural population of a group. Who's the group? We're talking about assimilation. Who is that group in the United States? So you're an immigrant from Haiti, right? You're a legal immigrant from Haiti. Which group are you assimilating into? Which culture are you assimilating into? Which group?
We both know where we're headed.
No, I don't. I don't know where we're headed. I really don't.
You're going to a human race.
No.
You're going biblical.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
here we go.
America has a culture, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. America has culture. So my question is, what is that? What's that culture? What is that culture, and which group represents that culture? What is the culture of the United States? And look, I don't know the answer to this question. I mean, I have students in my class where I'm asking them, we are working our way through trying to understand what is American culture and how does African American culture fit within the fabric of American culture. So I don't have the answers. And that's why I'm here. I'm working with you on this. Which culture? How do we define the culture of the United States? And whose culture is it? And what group represents that culture? Like, for instance, music. There is no American music without African Americans.
Absolutely.
It didn't exist. Africans brought the banjo to the United States. There is no American music. So that's a part of the culture. But that part of the culture of music within this culture goes all the way back to Africa. So that's why I'm saying, which parts of the culture, which group do we want them to assimilate in? When they come in, do you want them to assimilate into African American culture? Do you want them to assimilate into Alabama, Western Alabama culture? How do we do this? What kind of culture are they going to assimilate into?
Doc, answer your own question.
You keep saying that.
Because you don't know either.
Well, no, I don't. And I want to try to figure this out, that we work through this thing together and the reason why I want to work through it together is because there's a lot of people out there who are angry because they're saying people who come to this country do not assimilate into an American culture. They want them to take on the American culture. For some folks, what that means is stop speaking your native language in public, right? For some, we talked about this. For some, it's, I don't want to go to the DMV and have to worry about, I don't want to have to look at instructions in Spanish or some other language, right? Some say to assimilate, I don't want you to bring your native religion here into the United States. Why can't you just convert to Christianity? There's some that believe that. Why do you have to practice Islam when you come into the country? So that's what I'm saying. There are people out there who are angry, who are taking positions in their lives. They're taking positions in their lives. They're taking political positions.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, come on. Give it to me.
Saudi Arabia.
Got it.
Can you own land in Saudi Arabia if you're not an Islam? You know the answer to that.
No, actually, I don't. What?
You cannot own land in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
If you are not your faith is not Islamic.
Okay.
You can't own land in that country.
Okay.
Hello? There's nothing in the Constitution that says whatever you are, that you can't buy a piece of property in the United States. Hello?
So wait a second. Saudi Arabia says you can't own land in Saudi Arabia unless you're a citizen. You're Islamic, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm sorry. And you're saying that to say what?
Anybody can own land in this country. Anybody.
That's the good old Constitution. That's the Constitution. That's what makes America different than any other country in the world. Certainly different than Saudi Arabia, which is really not a democracy at all.
This is the greatest country on. It's 6:28.
Oh my God!
All we've done is ask each other questions.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a boxing match, you know.
Who's winning?
No, I think the listener's winning. To be honest with you. So, do you want me to take a? Are we taking a break or? In 30 seconds, we're going to take a break. After this 30-second break, we're going to come out swinging, okay?
Hey, folks, wake up and have your coffee. 6:29 a.m., 2:22:25. Blake is in the Bang's in the house. Sorry, Bang. We've got the smartest man in Alabama in the room. Come back. We'll be back. It's great.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather on News Radio 105.5 WERC.
Hundreds of stone-top countertops to choose from at wholesale prices. IGSgranite.com.
He pardoned everybody. Someone knocking at the door. Other talk shows can knock at the door, but only Sean Hannity got the invite to the Oval Office.
Somebody's ringing the bell.
Would you want the Attorney General to investigate it?
I went through 4 years of hell. It's really hard to say that they shouldn't have to go through it all.
The most informed talk show for the next 4 years.
Hey, America, it's your friend Sean Hannity.
Monday afternoon at 2 on News Radio 1055 WERC.
The city of Huntsville, near Cullman, is already dealing with scandal. The police chief and 4 officers charged with crimes. Now a lawsuit by ex-employee Lowell Hatter claims problems with chain of evidence in the property room. Lawyer Roger Appel says that's trouble in court.
If that chain is broken in any way, then the evidence is tainted and it may not be admissible into evidence. That could throw out every conviction that you're dealing with drugs out of that city.
It's another body blow for the town where all remaining police and other employees are on administrative leave. West Alabama deputies arrest a boy with a gun Friday at Gordo High School in Pickens County. The sheriff's office says a school resource officer discovered the gun soon after a complaint and arrested the juvenile within seconds. I'm Charlie O'Brien, and this is Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station, News Radio 1055, WERC.
After more freezing temperatures this morning, a high of 52 today with a partly to mostly sunny sky, wind southwest at 4 to 8. Staying dry through tonight with a low of 28 degrees, highs in the 50s tomorrow. Clouds move in, and there will be a chance for a few isolated showers by tomorrow evening. Lows near 33 Monday morning, highs in the mid-60s, mostly sunny, highs near 70 on Tuesday. I'm WBRC First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt on your side.
Right now, it's 27 degrees at Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 1055 WERC.
News Radio 1055 WERC. Make us the #1 preset on your car radio and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. Listen for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts, specializing in criminal defense and family law. Call in live with your questions now at 439-9372. That's 439-9372. Or write Joe with your question for the show at questions@joeingramlaw.com. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
Okay, we're back at 6:33 live, WERC 1055 FM. You can call in 205-439-9372, 205-439-WERC. This is Joe Ingram, The Legal Lowdown, the road running street lawyer here for you. And in the house this morning is Dr. Gordon Govens. He teaches at Stillman College in Tuscaloosa. He drove up today to have this conversation with me, and it's so fascinating. So, Doc,
Yeah.
you're the guest of the show today. You're the expert in the house.
No, I'm not the expert. We've already said that you and I are both historians and lawyers, and we both love the United States, right?
Yes, sir.
So we're both the experts today. But during the break, you and I were talking about what is American culture? We talked about the word assimilation. And I've heard these conversations, whether it's been at a bar or after a sports event, where people say, hey, immigrants and people who come to this country need to assimilate into our culture. But nobody ever defines what that is, what the concept of culture is, or what American culture is. And during the break, I said to you that I think part of the problem we have in the United States now and why we're not getting along is that we are not on the same page about what it means to be an American. I don't think we are. I don't think we know what those elements are. We've come to an agreement about what those elements are, and where we can all say that this is what makes us American, and this is what American culture actually is. Right? It used to be, what was it? Come on, tell me the Chevrolet commercial. Mom, apple pie, Mom and Apple Pie.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Norman Rockwell paintings.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't think that I'm not seeing that we are all on the same page in this country when it comes to what it means to have a shared American identity, so that when someone from another country comes in here, we'll say, look, if nothing else, we need you to embody these things in order for this American culture and this American society to work. So my question is, I'm going to ask you, answer, okay? What would be those things if you and I today, the president just started a new commission and said, this is the American Identity Commission. Joe Ingram and Gordon Govens are leading up this committee, all right? Right? This effort, this task force. What would we say needs to be a part of the American identity? In your opinion?
This is the greatest country on earth. There is not another country where...
Joe, I love you, man, but that sounds just like marketing.
No.
That just sounds like marketing.
Sir.
Wait a minute. What makes it great? Wait. Tell me what makes this country great, and then we'll put that as a part of the identity. But that slogan is just, it's marketing.
No. Go to the first 10 amendments.
The Bill of Rights.
The Bill of Rights. Freedom of religion. Freedom of speech. The Fourth Amendment. To be free.
Search and seizures.
Search and seizure. Sixth Amendment. Right to cross-examine. Fifth Amendment. Right to not say anything to incriminate yourself.
Right.
That if you, don't give you an interpreter, it's thrown out in court. That if you don't understand in your native language what you're being asked, the judge throws it out immediately. We have interpreters in the courthouse. We have interpreters in federal courthouse. If you have a federal trial, I had a Russian Armenian about 10 years ago. Doc.
Right.
There are, at that time, to be federally certified to translate. Russian Armenian? There are 2 in the country. Whole country.
What's wrong with that?
300 million people. 2.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong?
What's wrong with providing translators for?
There's nothing wrong with it. I wanted it. We honored it, and they got it. Guess what that cost? The bottom line.
So what?
So what?
Yeah.
They don't. Those people didn't pay taxes here.
What cost would you put on defending, right, and fulfilling constitutional rights underneath the Constitution? Is there a price that we put on that?
No.
That's right. So I believe your story is a testimony to how amazing the United States Constitution is. That it doesn't matter who the person is, we are going to make sure that that person has that their Sixth Amendment rights are fulfilled. I think that's pretty good. I mean, should we put an economic argument to it? Is it about economics? Is it about the amount of money that goes into, and I can understand the argument. There's an economic argument. I get it. There's a social argument as well. How much of a strain on the system does immigration place on the system? Would you agree?
Yeah.
All right. Tell me more about that.
Last week in the news,
mm-hmm.
Did you hear about the story up in New York where they uncovered over the last 4 years how much money they paid to house illegal immigrants? Not the homeless in America. Illegals.
Mm-hmm.
59 million. Bang. Was that the number? I think it was, give or take. And then there was another number, 1.9 billion on Doge last week. That money that they had uncovered for all these programs for illegals. No other country on earth does that.
Well, guess what? Perhaps no other country on earth has people in places that are incompetent enough, right? And not paying attention to pay that kind of money for those types of services. That's not an illegal immigration issue. That sounds like a personnel issue here in the United States. That sounds like a governance issue to me. To pay that kind of money, if that money was wasted, or if there was misfeasance or malfeasance in the use of that money, it's not the immigrant's fault. It sounds like somebody who wasn't managing a program properly. Would you agree? Yeah. I mean, if you'd been in charge of that program, would you have expended that kind of money? Yeah, exactly. All right. So I don't know more of the details. I don't know more of the details of where that money went. I only know what I hear from the press, what I've heard on what I've read in the press, what I've heard on the press. But it just sounds to me like an enormous mismanagement of money. And that's not new to the United States government, is it?
No.
It's not new. So we can't single out, immigrants, for some particular focus of that.
Are illegals, should they take precedent over the homeless?
You mean, no? Well, no, I don't think so. Well, it depends on what perspective you come from. If it's a purely Christian perspective, right? There's no politics involved. Christianity is very clear. There is no preference. You help those who are hungry, who are sick, regardless of their immigration status. Now, looking at it from that perspective, if there's another perspective, what other perspective is there? What would that be? Just the economist who says, or the loyalist, American loyalist who will say, we need to take care of our own first before we take care of our own, meaning American citizens, before we take care of those who are here illegally. And there's an argument to be made for that.
And in the United States, you get health care. No question.
Yeah.
You get interpreters. No question. You get representation. No question. The only thing you can't do is you can't vote.
Right.
And I think we agree, you don't get to vote here if you're not here legally.
Well, you and I agreed when we first started the show, right? We agreed that the preference is to have those who come to this country enter the country legally, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And there are a whole host of reasons why that's important. Security, right? It's important for that purpose, particularly after 9/11. The strain on the social systems here in the United States, that's a fact, as you said. Our social services, a strain on the social services. You can't continue to have the funnel of people come in if you're not giving greater amount of social services for folks. Because then there are those who are American citizens who are left out. Understood. So benefits, understood. What are some of the other arguments? Economic arguments, of course, is a social resources argument that we can make. There's also a Christian argument that you can make that says we need people's huddled masses. The Statue of Liberty. We're bringing people in because we're allowing people to come into this country maybe on a rapid basis because of the unfortunate conditions of their home countries. The problem in the United States is that, again, let's go back to the whole American identity. We've not come up we're not talking about this issue in a rational way, in a sober way, because people's emotions are so involved with it. And I think it comes down to, I think in trying to resolve the issue that's why I posed the question to you. What is the American identity? What does it mean to be American? I'm going to ask you the question again. Bang. I'm asking them a question again, right? Directly. I want you to be controversial, but honest. What is the American identity and what is American culture? Like, what's the American identity? Describe it. Just describe it.
American,
what are the elements?
The elements are that you take allegiance to the flag.
Okay. All right. So one is you take allegiance to the flag.
Yeah.
All right. That's a part of being American.
Yeah.
And what does that mean when we take allegiance to the flag?
You pledge allegiance to the flag.
Right. And the flag represents what? It represents the Constitution, right?
The Constitution that we lived and died for to build the greatest country on the planet.
Right.
This is the greatest planet. This is the greatest country on the planet.
When you say we lived and died for, who's the we?
All of us.
Yeah. My people.
All of them.
That's right. My African American
They
people
fought in the Civil War.
We did more than that, my brother.
That's right.
All right. We built this economy.
Yeah.
This economy, the American economy, capitalism was built on enslaved people. That's just real.
Right? It is.
That's just real.
It is.
So, hey, listen, think about this. You're a criminal attorney, right? Criminal defense attorney. Most of constitutional criminal, I'm sorry, not most of, a lot of constitutional criminal jurisprudence and cases and rights have to do with cases that involve African Americans whose rights were violated. 4th, 5th, 6th Amendment, right?
Yeah.
8th Amendment.
Absolutely. Cruel and unusual punishment.
You got it. And those cases, how those cases went to the Supreme Court, and it has established, constitutional criminal law jurisprudence. Many of those cases happen because of that cases that involve African Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. I'm with you 100%. We fought, died, enslaved for the Constitution of the United States.
I did an 8th Amendment cruel, unusual punishment case.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it for free.
Mm-hmm.
I had a federal judge said, hey, you're going to do this. The guy was pro se.
Mm-hmm.
He was an American citizen, born and bred, white. He got up every day for 4 years at an infirmary prison and signed up for sick call and said, I'm in pain, 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 I'm in pain. I need another blanket. I need another pillow. I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. He did it for 4 years, Doc. And he filed his own petition in the U.S. District Court.
Right. Pro se.
For 4 years. And a chief United States magistrate judge that reads everything, anything, brilliant, didn't like one word. The physician said he's malingering. He's a dope seeker. He just signs up for sick call because he's a malingerer. The judge said no. A pro se person that can barely read and write for 4 years beat one of the best insurance defense lawyers, passed summary judgment, and got a trial. And the judge called me and said, you're going to do this. I said, why? He said, you're doing it. There's a pallet of paper that's saran wrapped is being delivered to your office today. How many boxes? A lot of boxes. we're going to have a bench trial because it's not a jury trial.
Right.
I'm your judge.
Mm-hmm.
Judge and jury, prosecutor. Great story. I picked him up at the bus station. I took him. Hello. He said, I have no money. I drove him around for 2 hours. Jimmy Hill Mission was closed. The pump house shelter was closed because they don't want people coming in and out at night. He said, what are you going to do with me? I said, I don't know. I can't take you home with me. I said, do you have money? I got $26. I found him a motel. He said, would you carry my baggage up to my room? Okay. Well, I got to get to court tomorrow. Well, you're a couple blocks from the courthouse, but I'll take you. I picked him up. He cussed me all the way to the courthouse about the roaches in the room. We get to the courthouse. Judge says, you ready? No, sir. Why? I don't think I can represent my client. He wants to fire me. Judge called me back personally. Now the trains run on time in federal court.
Right.
And he said, what's the problem? And I told him. He said, go get him. The guy comes back there. He called me everything but a human being. Judge said, no. Joe's not even really your lawyer. He's here to help with evidentiary issues, but he's going to try your case. Get out of my chambers. Judge was mad. Now we sit there till 10:30. We go from 9 to 10:30, Doc. Judge comes out, you ready? Yeah. Call your witness. All right. Doc, how long do you think it takes to go through 4 years of medical records from somebody that signed up for sick call? Holly, my paralegal, did it for free on the weekends. This is all real.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets on the stand, tells his story, and the judge wants to rule for me. And here's how I get paid. If he gets $1 judgment.
Now he's a citizen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, he's a white American male citizen.
Got it.
If he got $1, I got all my attorney fees under a 1983 Civil Rights Action.
Okay.
Okay. The judge wanted us to win. And so we go through the trial, ding, 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 boom, boom, boom. He testified. He's cross-examined. I re-examined him. He did really well. And then on the third day, the judge says, I've heard enough. Go settle. Go do what you do as lawyers. Great lawyer. Wonderful lawyer. During lunch break, I looked over. I said, do you leave the room? No. Because if I leave the room, I go to sleep after lunch. So I don't even drink water. I thought, we're the one and the same. I went out, got some water, went to the restroom, went back. My client said, how we doing? We're doing good. Doing really good. And then it's 6:55. We ain't even told the whole story. Anyway, and then at the end of the debate, the lawyer said, we'll give you a little money. My guy said he wanted a crazy number. And I went to the lawyer and I said, he wants a number. He said, he can have that number. It's 656 WERC 1055 439 9372 205 WERC. Joe, this is the Joe Ingram Legal Lowdown on the south side of UAB campus with Dr. Gordon Govens of Stillman College. Brilliant man that got up and drove from Tuscaloosa to do this. And this is a fascinating conversation. And we have someone on the line that's going to call in that is a patriot that served in the military. We'll be back here after news and weather. Wake up, folks.
There's another hour of the Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer Joe Ingram heading your way. You can ask your question live on the air at 439-9372. That's 439-9372. Or send Joe your question for air via email at questions@ingramlaw.com. If you need a private legal consultation, contact Joe directly at joeingramlaw.com. Stand by for more of the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram right after news and weather on News Radio 105.5 WERC.
The proceeding has been a paid program. The opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of WERC, management, employees, or advertisers.
Covering Trump's first 100 days every day.
We stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history.
News Radio 105.5 WERC.
Fox Facts.
The quote, "Play it again, Sam," is one of the most famous misquotes in cinema history. It was never actually spoken in the classic 1942 film Casablanca. In the movie, Ilse Lund, played by Ingrid Bergman, says this.
"Play it, Sam. Play as time goes by."
Later, Rick Blaine, played by Humphrey Bogart, addresses Sam as well.
You played it for her, you play it for me.
At no point does anyone say, "Play it again, Sam." The misquote gained traction through cultural references, parodies, and reinterpretations of the film. It was further popularized by the title of Woody Allen's 1972 movie, Play It Again, Sam. Over time, the phrase entered popular culture as a shorthand reference to the iconic scenes involving the song As Time Goes By.
Remember this, a kiss is just a kiss.
Matt Murphy, Fox News.
While their house of cards collapses.
Take your foot off my neck.
And the DEI dies.
There's a new day in America. I'm fired up. I got so much hope.
It's not that we don't like diversity. It's that we just don't care.
Things are looking terrific.
That was funny.
Stay updated.
With what? More winning?
With the station of merit.
I'm so glad I found this radio station.
On News Radio 105.5 WERC.
News Radio 105.5 WERC Birmingham, WERC FM Hoover, and available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. It's 7 o'clock.
Newly minted FBI Director Kash Patel is reportedly ordering 500 agents from Washington to Alabama. Jim Faraday reports.
The agents will be shifted to the Bureau's campus at Huntsville's Redstone Arsenal. It's part of a larger plan to move 1,000 FBI employees out of the nation's capital. Republican former state representative Paul DeMarco applauding the announcement.
That's a good news for citizens. The more agencies can get outside of the Beltway, the more connection with the average American citizen to make sure that the criminal justice system is fairly and professionally run.
The announcement comes after Senators Tommy Tuberville and Katie Britt called on the new FBI director to fill vacant bureau jobs in Huntsville. I'm Jim Faraday.
The Alabama Supreme Court court rules Friday the state can execute 66-year-old Robin Rocky Myers despite his claim of innocence, and in spite of a juror in the case expressing regret and pleading for the man's life. Myers is set to die sometime this spring. He's been on death row over 30 years. Alabama's sales tax holiday continues through Sunday for severe weather supplies. Good news after 11 tornadoes in the state last weekend. Hamilton, Alabama Assistant Fire Chief Matt McCracken says something everybody needs is
a NOAA weather radio. I can't stress enough how important it is to have a working, programmed NOAA weather radio during severe weather.
Tax-free items include batteries, phone chargers, portable generators, and power cords. The tax holiday applies mostly to items selling for $60 or less. Add one more twister to the tornado count from last week's severe weather. The National Weather Service confirms an EF0 tornado in Moundville. It brings the total number of tornadoes to 11, all in north and central Alabama. I'm Charlie O'Brien, and this is Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station, News Radio 1055, WERC.
After more freezing temperatures this morning, a high of 52 today with a partly to mostly sunny sky, winds southwest at 4 to 8. Staying dry through tonight with a low of 28 degrees, highs in the 50s tomorrow. Clouds move in, and there will be a chance for a few isolated showers by tomorrow evening. Lows near 33 Monday morning, highs in the mid-60s, mostly sunny, highs near 70 on Tuesday. I'm WBRC First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt on your side.
Right now, it's 29 degrees at Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 1055 WERC.
Announcing we identified and
I ordered the
sign
end
a
today.
historic, so took
And
action.
I've made it official.
Okay, so the Glenn Beck program. The pace of Donald Trump is absolutely breathtaking. Keeping pace with the politics of Trump.
We're moving forward very fast, so fast.
I love what Donald Trump is doing.
Americans are exhausted trying to keep up.
You cannot keep up with everything that they're doing. Keep up. Monday morning at 9. This is what I'm going to do. On News Radio 1055 WERC.
The following is a paid program. The opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of WERC, management, employees, or advertisers.
He's a tough street-fighting lawyer with the highest ratings for honesty and integrity. He's here for you every Saturday morning to answer your legal questions and get you the help you need. You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram of Ingram Law, live from the studios of News Radio 1055 WERC. Call in now, 439-9372. That's 439-9372, and ask Joe your legal question, or email the show at questions@joeingramlaw.com. Joe Ingram has more than 20 years experience fighting for his clients here in the state of Alabama. Joe's focus is criminal defense and family law. You don't have to face your legal issue alone.
All right, let's do this. We got to get back. It's 7:06 WERC. This is Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. JoeIngramLaw.com, 205-439-9372, 205-439-WERC. Dr. Govens is in the house from Stillman College. Wonderful debate about immigration, what it means to come here legally. And we have a caller, Doc. Corey is my investigator. Spy for rent, spy for rent, spy for rent. Corey and Jeff have got you covered. Corey, you on the line? Corey? What?
Can you hear me, Joe?
I got you. Corey, we're outmatched today.
Not true.
By Dr. Govens from Stillman College. What does it mean to be American to you?
You know what, Corey, let me set this up. Joe, I'm sorry. Set this up. What does it mean for you to have an American identity? What does that mean?
An American identity.
Yeah. What's the American identity?
I think the American identity is different for everybody. I mean, whether you live on the West Coast, if you're on the East Coast, if you live in the South, the Midwest, it's all a little bit different, right?
Yeah, but how about the shared identity? If we were to, this is a salad bowl. If we were to put those things together, right? Would we be a Caesar salad? Would we be a Greek salad? You're right. There's an identity based on culture, depending on your geographic area. But what is the common identity that we all share? It's not a quiz. I'm asking you. We're trying to figure this thing out.
You know, the biggest thing, I think, you know, the Constitution, and I know this is a law show, but I mean, really, the rights that we get, that's our share. Nobody else has those rights anywhere in the U.S. And I've been all over the world. We have more rights, and we are bolder, and we just as a group. Americans are different when they're overseas, even. If that makes sense. Sometimes for good, sometimes for worse, right? There's a bold, like, I'm an American. There's a swagger to that, you know, and I think it comes from our rights. We can be. Most people can't, right? So I think that's the difference. And you know, there's good. Another thing, I guess, any kind of service. And I was in the military, so it's kind of my identity, my whole family. You know, somebody in each generation has been in the service, right? And so you see all those people too from everywhere, from Puerto Rico, you know, people really that are getting their citizenship, right? And what's their identity? It's the patriotism, the love for country, you know, that you get from serving in the military. And I think that's another reason too. I think, well, we'll talk about integration. You know, I have a lot of friends that, you know, weren't citizens, or they're from, you know, one of the territories, right? And then they're going to get their citizenship. And so their American identity is a lot tied to the military, right? And the values that the military gives you. But that could be anything too, any kind of service, right? That could be service locally. I think local services affect us a lot more than, how would you say, like national services. People get all fired up about the presidential election, but a lot of times our local.
We're not going to talk politics
matter.
today. We're not going to do politics. All right.
Well, I am not talking about DEI when I ask you this question. All right. Because that acronym has taken on a pejorative meaning. I'm going to ask you, be specific. What I just heard from you is when you go all around the world, where you have those from different parts of the country, you go all over the world, you see Americans and how we interact. Would you say that diversity is a part, the whole melting pot salad bowl, that diversity is a part of the American identity?
For sure. I think we're the most tolerant people too in the world. I think everywhere I've been, race, culture, clan matters a heck of a lot more. But as Americans, like I said, that's not so much the case. But everybody knows, you know. I don't think the typical, and you know, that might be a question to ask a foreigner as well. Like, what do you think of when you think of American? Because I don't think white, I don't think black, I mean, there's just so many different, and I think of it differently too. Like just the different swaths of areas in the United States. That's what goes to me. But I'm sorry, I'm speaking a little too much.
No, you're fine. Keep going.
No, I mean, that's basically my point too. I don't think of it, and it's weird that my mind goes to that. It doesn't go to one. Like I couldn't think of a typical family, you know, when I think of America. I just think, you know, where is it? South Louisiana? Is it, you know, Panhandle of Florida? Is it? All that looks differently to me.
Corey, your description reminds me of something. I went to Strasbourg, France, many years ago. And I've never felt more like an American, not African American, American. I'm constantly in this country reminded of being an African American, but I never felt more like an American than I did when I went to Strasbourg, France. And I would walk down the street and people were looking at me not as a black man, but they were looking at me as an American in France. Because that culture remembers America's role in World War II, in liberating France. And when you start talking to the French people, particularly in the area that I was in, they were looking at me far more as an American than the color of my skin. So I think that's what you were saying earlier. you were alluding to earlier about when you go around the world, people are looking at you as an American, correct? And how you carry yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Joe? Yeah. So what else would you, Corey, what else would you add to the American identity? You started with liberty and freedom, sort of foundational ideas of liberty and freedom, right? That we all have. You agree with the diversity and the pluralism. And would you agree that immigration has played a central role in shaping the American identity?
Yeah, I mean, that's how America was started, right? Nobody's really from here except for the Native Americans, right? So that's always been the case, for sure.
Right, right. And what about, you talked about regional and class identities, right? What?
Somewhat. I don't think I really mentioned class. I think I said clan. Maybe I was
clan.
mistaken,
Okay.
But
okay. What do you mean by clan identities?
Well, when I was speaking to overseas, so a lot of and everybody has cultural filters, and I'm trying not to make this blinding, but so the Middle East. So I speak Arabic. That was my undergrad degree, right? So
you
I know
Arabic?
a lot about that area. Yeah.
This is great. Okay.
So and I've read a million books, right, about the different cultures there and how but that is a very sectarian culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a Arab proverb. I think it's actually, I won't call it Arab. I think it's I can't remember which South. It's let's see, a Somalian proverb, I think, to be exact. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like, my country versus other country, right? And then it goes into like basically my region or my state against the other one. Then it goes my clan versus, the other clan. Then it's like me versus my brother, right? So that's very, different. Yeah. And not everybody is like that. You look at like Saudi Arabia, for instance. The younger people in Saudi Arabia they see United Arab Emirates and they want to be like that, right? They don't want to be like their dads, and they see the economic growth from that, and so they're a little bit more lax on a lot of things. But you talk to some of the older people, and they don't like Christians if they're Muslims. I mean, persecution is real over there. I'm a Christian,
mm-hmm.
and I never grew up with persecution, and that's an everyday thing. It's like a normal thing. It's like for a Christian over in those places, it's a lot worse. So the same thing, though, it's not just Christians. If you're a Muslim, but you're not a Sunni Muslim, and you're in a predominantly Shia area, you might not like just based off that. And America, just, I don't know. I mean, there's racist people, right? That's always going to be the case. But in America, I don't think that's the case much anymore. Nobody goes, are you a Baptist or Presbyterian? They don't. That's like meeting somebody. Over there, it's always, what country are you from? Okay, what's your religion? It's like an interview sometimes sitting there, and that's not the case here in America. So that's why my filters are a little different, maybe, because I've seen it to the extreme when it comes to that. And
well, you have a perspective that a small percentage of Americans have, because you've actually been around the world. I think that's one of the, I think more Americans need to travel around the world and experience different cultures. I know it changed my life. I've not done as much traveling as you have. I'm gonna ask you a bold question about America. What is the problem in America? If you think about it within the framework of identity, what is the problem in America into why we cannot get along like we should?
The one problem we have in America now is entitlement. I don't care who you are. Everybody thinks they're entitled. And you see that from hiring. And so that's another thing that people overseas think about us too. We think we're entitled, right? We have that boldness, that swagger, and that helped us in World War II and everything too. You talk about the Germans. They said, Americans are unpredictable. They don't use the book. You know what I'm saying? They're not strict on the tactics. So that kind of thing, that American personality to, you know, be bold, make bold decisions, that's great. But I think a lot of people are entitled. You know, I get up and go to work every day. I still, you know, if you want to be in get out of the situation that you're in, there's an out to it. I mean, I worked 50 hours a week and got my master's degree. I don't really feel sorry for somebody that, you know, that's kind of, if you want it, go work for it. And there's never been a time, I think, or a place that you can get up, go to work, and get stuff done. And I think that's for everybody.
Now, do you think that entitlement goes across class levels? Are there rich people too who are entitled? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So the rich, let's talk about the overseas comparison. So what about the rich person that goes overseas and they're at a restaurant that doesn't serve hamburgers, but they want a hamburger, and they're going to get mad about it, right? If you don't give me a hamburger. We all know that story. We've all seen it. And it makes you cringe when you're American overseas.
The ugly American. It's the ugly American.
Yeah.
It's called.
So that is the rich person. So that's a sense of entitlement. But everybody, you know, I'm down and I want to, you know, be mad at somebody. So I'm mad at the rich person, you know, and the rich people are mad. It's just a lot of entitlement I see from all classes. You know, like I said, I think the people that get up and go to work, they're thriving. We don't hear about those people because they keep their mouth shut, keep their head down, and they go to work. But I wish, you know, I think I'm a little bit younger, you know, my grandparents. I think of my grandmother that just recently passed. I mean, she worked 3 jobs, you know, and that's nothing. So and on her deathbed, she was like, I had a great life. And I thought in my head, I was like, man, all she did was work, but she enjoyed it, right? I think a lot of people don't enjoy the fruits of, you know, when I do a good job, I feel good the rest of the week. You know, if I didn't do anything, I would just, I don't know what I'd probably die. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't working, you know? And I don't think we have that spirit anymore because, you know, food's not a scarcity. Nothing's a scarcity. I mean, in America, it really isn't.
Joe,
I mean, go ahead.
Joe, are you hearing this?
Yeah, I'm here.
Corey is saying that, I think this is what you're saying, Corey, that I think that unfortunately what's become a part of the American identity is a sense of arrogance and entitlement, right? That we've been prosperous for so long. The country's been winning for so long, correct? That there's a sense of entitlement now. Would you agree?
Yeah, in a big way. And this doesn't have anything to do with politics. After 2016, University of Michigan Law School, they had a crying day with crayons after the election. Law students were crying with crayon books. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Harvard, Yale, the 2 finest law schools in America over an election? And I ain't doing politics.
No, but that goes to Corey's point. Corey's point is that we've developed such a culture of entitlement that when things don't go our way, even in the political spectrum, we have temper tantrums. Would you agree, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, if I lost, instead of the attitude should be, okay, well, how do I win in 4 years? You know, take it on the chin. You lost. Now figure out. You still got to work. The world's not over. If your worldview is this or your politics is this, well, you still believe that's what's right. Instead of whining about it, get to work and get something done. You know,
what did people around? Were you overseas when this all occurred? What did other countries? How did other countries view what happened in America and how we responded to the elections?
So I wasn't overseas during this recent election, but I was overseas in 2015. So I was in Jordan at that time when the Paris attacks happened. You know, the I think it was still the primaries, the Democratic and Republican primaries for the 2016 election. But, how did other countries view the election? I mean, it was kind of polarized. Some people say, if you look at that time, too, Bolsonaro in Brazil, very conservative.
Right.
So there was like a conservative sweep, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Not just, so you saw it in the UK.
Yep. Yeah.
It was, so a lot of people had the same idea, and a lot more Western, European, and then we just had the Arab Spring as well. So there was a lot of, and I hate, it's very weird, but it was a lot of similar sentiments across the world, I think, at that time. And it was very contentious, obviously. There's a lot of, especially in the Middle East, right? Because it caused a lot of civil wars and whatnot. Libya, Syria, Egypt, you had, who was it? Was it Mubarak? Mubarak. And then you had Morsi, and then after Morsi, you had Sisi come in. But, so it was very similar sentiments. But I will say some people, and for instance, like in Jordan, they're like, I just wish the United States or Russia would take over. And that was something that, of course, that's illegal for them to say because they can't say anything against the king. But that was some of their opinions, because politics, they can't, like I said, they don't feel like their politics, they can make change. Their vote really matters. No, this is in Jordan.
In Jordan.
So it's wouldn't know the exact term, but a representative monarchy. So you've got King Abdullah, of course, and then you have like a parliament and et cetera, but they don't feel like they have much say like we do in America. So they're kind of, and they're like, just, I want a good leader that, democracy, to a lot of the locals, they're just not interested in it. Just whoever's good, and I don't really care because it doesn't work, is what they say. But that might be why you had such extreme responses in some places like the Middle East, right? Where in America, you might just see a protest. You're not seeing this all out civil war.
I see.
People still have hope, right? That even if their side lost, that their vote matters still, right?
Is there envy around the world of America? Is there still a reverence around the world about America's status and its culture, in your opinion?
I think, I mean, if you ask anybody to talk about immigration, they might stub their toe and say, and I've seen this literally with a cab driver, and curse America. And then you ask them if I could give you a free visa, would you go? And they'd say, heck yeah. So everybody's still, I mean, that's a true story, and when you're overseas too. So I've been overseas with different presidents. And one thing my dad's always taught me, I think it's the military man coming out, no matter who the president is, even if you don't like the president, if somebody in a foreign country asks you about him,
sure,
I always say, he's the best person in the world, kind of deal.
Wait a minute. Let me unpack that for a second. You said you have a cab driver in a country who will curse the United States, correct? And you asked that cab driver if you could get him a visa to go to the United States. He says yes. Why? What? That seems like a contradiction. Explain that.
Because so they might get mad at some foreign policy issues with America, right?
Right.
But at the same time, there's more opportunity, once again, in America than any other place. I saw somebody the other day talking about salaries. If you just want to get up and go to work, and that's where a lot of these, people are beating us that are immigrating over here. They're getting up and going to work, right? There's a lot more doctors I see, a lot more engineers from foreign countries. And it's because they're kicking our butts because you don't want some entitled kid. You want somebody that wants to get up and go to work. And that's what employers are saying as well. So,
yeah. If nothing else, that cab driver is a capitalist, right?
Yeah.
Joe.
And don't trust cab drivers in foreign countries. Always make sure they start the meter. So you need to know that in whatever language it is. Tell them to start the meter. And if they tell you, $7 or whatever their currency is, and 50 cents is $750, you look at them and say, no, I can read a meter. Because that's happened before, too.
Joe.
On immigration, Doc, I represent a gentleman from Pakistan. You can't own land in Pakistan if you're not Islamic either. Hello. There's nothing here in America that says you can't own land.
You and I have already established that the Constitution is probably the greatest document, I believe, in human history that has ever been created. In its aspirational goals of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Okay? The question becomes not the document, it's aspirational, but has America truly been fulfilling the constitutional principles and the Declaration principles in the best way that it can?
Absolutely.
I disagree.
Well,
Corey, we got a couple of seconds left. You want to give a short answer?
I think it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows as everything else. We've gotten more amendments, haven't we? So what was not that we were not doing well at maybe 50 years ago is different than what we're not doing well at now.
Don't go anywhere, Corey, by the way.
The Doc's in the house and he's running the show. He might as well just come over and take over the show. Brilliant conversation. Corey, thank you for calling in. We'll be back here in a few seconds. We're going to break. Yeah, we're going to break. We'll be back. All right.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather on News Radio 105.5 WERC.
Culling the corruption.
Just about everybody's going to be looked at.
And wiping out the waste.
Why? They're just using a meat axe and cutting everything.
To elicit more efficiency.
Come on, baby, let's go! Pendulum is finally swinging in the right direction.
And they're doing it Doji style.
Why don't people like Trump? I'm just delighted. He's awesome.
Check in often for the latest.
With all the stuff that he's doing and all the stuff that he's undoing.
News Radio 105.5 WERC.
Newly minted FBI Director Kash Patel is reportedly ordering 500 agents from Washington to Alabama. Jim Faraday reports.
The agents will be shifted to the Bureau's campus at Huntsville's Redstone Arsenal. It's part of a larger plan to move 1,000 FBI employees out of the nation's capital. Republican former state representative Paul DeMarco applauding the announcement.
That's a good news for citizens. The more agencies can get outside of the Beltway, the more connection with the average American citizen to make sure that the criminal justice system is fairly and professionally run.
The announcement comes after Senators Tommy Tuberville and Katie Britt called on the new FBI director to fill vacant bureau jobs in Huntsville. I'm Jim Faraday.
The Alabama Supreme Court rules Friday the state can execute 66-year-old Robin Rocky Myers despite his claim of innocence. I'm Charlie O'Brien, and this is Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station, News Radio 105.5 WERC.
After more freezing temperatures this morning, a high of 52 today with a partly to mostly sunny sky, wind southwest at 4 to 8. Staying dry through tonight with a low of 28 degrees, highs in the 50s tomorrow. Clouds move in, and there will be a chance for a few isolated showers by tomorrow evening. Lows near 33 Monday morning, highs in the mid-60s, mostly sunny, highs near 70 on Tuesday. I'm WBRC First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt on your side.
Right now, it's 31 degrees at Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 105.5 WERC.
News Radio 105.5 WERC. Make us the #1 preset on your car radio and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. Listen for all your music radio and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts, specializing in criminal defense and family law. Call in live with your questions now at 439-9372. That's 439-9372. Or write Joe with your question for the show at questions@joeingramlaw.com. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
There we go. All right. 7:33. It's The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, WERC 105.5 on the south side. We've got Bang. We've got a doc from Stillman College. It's a fascinating conversation about immigration. Then it turned into religion. Then we went all over the world. And we're going to drive this thing home. Doc?
Yes.
In the break, you said that it ebbs and flows.
Corey said it ebbs and flows.
And you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with it. Well, let's pose the original question. The original question is that, has America lived up to the principles that are embedded within the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence? You said yes. You said a hard yes. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I said a hard no. Corey made me rethink my position because he said he thinks it ebbs and flows. So he made me rethink my position. And I believe that I'm going to change my answer. And I'm going to say that it's evolving. It's something that's evolving. That we're a young country. We're a young empire. America is. Not been around for that long in terms of a world power.
No.
Not at all. Very young. The Roman Empire lasted 2,000 years?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's something that's evolving. And I think that it will always be evolving. If you think about it across the history of America, we talked about this during the break. At one point, those who had all of the rights were white, land-owning, wealthy males. Those were the so-called founding fathers that we had. And that evolved to include then non-land-owning males, white males. It never really included white females. It certainly didn't include anyone who wasn't white at one point. That didn't even begin to manifest itself until after slavery, where you have the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
13th, abolishing slavery, servitude. 14th, right? Equal protection, due process, citizens. 15th, So those are the Reconstruction amendments evolving. This is what Corey was saying before we went to the break. So that's the evolution of it. And then there's an evolution a painful evolution that occurs where now you have a group of people African Americans who have been released from bondage, who are now saying, we're now asking for rights to be protected underneath the Constitution, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. And then you have this long struggle. We talk about as we move into, this is Black History Month. As we're in Black History Month, this long struggle, a nation's struggle to live out the principles of the Constitution and of the Declaration of Independence. And to be honest with you, I don't think enough people really understand. We need to read the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. It should be something that's required in our schools and required for us to learn every year, because I really don't think that we understand how important that they really are. So I would say that it is evolving. I don't think we're there yet, but I think it's evolving. And I think, to be honest with you, the immigration issue has raised that the immigration matter has raised that issue of an evolving, living out the principles of the Constitution. For instance, your story that you talked about with the translators, that's a Constitution story.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beauty of the Constitution story.
Yeah.
Forgot
what I was going to say just a minute ago.
But anyway, anyway, I was saying we were evolving. I was telling you that we were. I think that.
Wait. 2 weeks ago, I summarized the Martin Luther King "I Have a Dream" speech.
Okay.
I didn't do it justice. I summarized it.
Right.
But we read it here.
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's come a long way. Alabama has come a huge way.
Yeah.
We have. People come from all over the world. The Katrina Supreme Court Justice.
Ketanji
Jackson.
Yes.
She came here last summer.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Highlands, the best restaurant in Birmingham. They had a private party for her.
Mm-hmm.
Came to the Civil Rights Institute. See the Birmingham jail.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King wrote letters from the Birmingham jail.
Mm-hmm.
Right here. Not far from here.
Right.
Birmingham has come a long way. Birmingham is the shiny city of the South. Huntsville is a melting pot of the world. Huntsville has engineers from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
We have, Cash Patel just sent 500 agents last night to the FBI headquarters in Huntsville because it's understaffed. Alabama is the greatest state in the South. We could have been Georgia 30 years ago, but we blew it. We did. Alabama blew it. We could have been Georgia. I'm glad we're not for the traffic. Alabama is the greatest thing coming for the next 50 years. FBI in Huntsville, they have the best engineering road system. Huntsville is one of the 10 best cities in the country.
I'll tell you what I like about Alabama. I've been here for 3 years. Okay. Moved here from Texas for a short time. What I like about Alabama, particularly Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, is the fact that Alabamians do not run away from their past. It's painful, but they don't run away from their past. They are very careful to commemorate and to remember what happened in the past to try to help them build a better future for Alabama. And particularly in Tuscaloosa, there's always a remembrance of what happened there. And I think it's the kind of thing that it's a shared heritage of blacks and whites here in Alabama, that painful period, during the Civil Rights era and during Jim Crow and slavery. Yeah. But it's
standing in the door saying you're not going to go. Yeah.
But one thing that I've noticed since I've been here is, people are very careful about how they treat each other and how they talk to one another in a respectful way.
Yeah.
There's a developed sense of boundaries, a cultural boundaries that people have that says you don't do certain things, you don't say certain things, but you're still honest, but you're polite about it. And I've said this before, I think Alabama, and I really mean this, I think Alabama somehow could be the state that helps lead the United States to its racial issues. I believe that. It's biblical. What better state to do it than Alabama, right? Isn't that biblical?
Yeah, there's a church on every there's multiple churches on every corner block.
Well, it's the most unlikely candidate. That's how the Bible works. Gideon was the least of the tribes, and he was the most unlikely. God always calls the most unlikely candidate to lead a change. And I think Alabama could be that state.
Alabama is that state.
Yeah.
Yeah. You disagree?
No, I agree. I'm the one that proposed it. I agree.
We agree on something.
I've lived in Georgia, lived in Texas, now I live here. So, no, I agree.
Doc, we're getting to 7:43. Tell the people out there that are listening, if anybody's awake, this is WRC Legal Lowdown. Dr. Govens is in the house from Stillman College. Brilliant, wonderful man that gave us time this morning. What do you want to share with our audience today?
I want to share with your audience the wonderful work that's being done at Stillman College. How much and how important the college is to the identity and the heritage of Alabama. And Stillman College is approaching its 150 years in existence. And it has produced some of the most amazing graduates who have become top educators, top military leaders, politicians. And it's just been an honor to teach at the school. Thank you for having me on the show today and giving you this plug for Stillman College. It's an amazing school in an amazing city in an amazing state. And I just want folks out there who pray for the school, pray for its prosperity. And if they know any students that they think would benefit from an HBCU experience, a historically Black college and university experience, where it's very nurturing for some students who need a sense of belonging and a little extra help, but still very high academic standards, to contact me and let me know. Contact me at Stillman College at Govens, GGOVENS at stillman.edu.
You're crazy to give that on the air.
Okay. That's all right. They can contact me. And I'm glad you had me on the show today. A lot of fun. This was so impromptu. And we said we were just going to, what did we say? We were going to freestyle. And that's what we did. Thanks to Corey.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah, good time. Good time. I haven't done radio in a while. It was a good time.
You got the greatest voice for radio.
Well, should I be playing? Is it for talk radio, or should I be having music playing in the background?
They won't let me have music yet. We're debating them about the music. We're going to win that debate too. That's another story. This has been a great morning. This is Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, WRC 105.5. If you've listened, this has been fascinating, and it's been a healthy conversation, healthy debate. It's an important debate about the story of America, about the human race.
You and I have to tell you have to have me come back. We have to do a segment where you and I talk about our ancestry results. Because I have a story for you about my ancestry results as well.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
Have you talked about that on the air?
No, we haven't done that yet. You want to start doing this every Saturday?
If I could, I would.
You can. We'll have you call in. Right, you don't have to drive in. Okay. But you know what? It's so much better sitting here.
I like sitting here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like sitting here.
Because we can sit here and talk about everything you want to talk about under the sun.
All right. Well, let's talk about that. I may start coming in on from time to time on Saturdays. Okay.
I would love to have you because you're brilliant.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're brilliant.
As are you. I'm told that you're a brilliant lawyer.
I'm just a lawyer.
I don't know. Bang over there. He shook his head up and down and said yes.
Bang is just happy that he got his Bang energy drinks. That's all he cares about. No, Bang's great. Bang and I talk about good stuff. He keeps me on the lowdown of pop culture when we come in the morning, which we didn't even discuss today. Oh, by the way, P. Diddy, His lawyer quit yesterday.
Yeah.
What does that say? That ain't good. What do you think, Bang? He's over here going, no, that ain't good. P. Diddy is done. He is like, what was it? R. Kelly? What's Robert Kelly? You know what I'm talking about. The other federal guy that got
Harvey Weinstein?
No. The rapper,
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly, yeah.
Yeah, they're all in the category of Harvey Weinstein, all the powerful that, right?
Oh, and Pam Bondi has the file on her desk of the Jeff Epstein file. Did you see that last night? She says, I have the list. Maybe there's going to be others that are about to be charged.
There you go.
You think there was only one? No. Bill Clinton, the jet, they went to the private island.
Never underestimate the power of money.
Money.
That's right.
Money
and power.
Money and power.
That's right.
Money and power.
How long has Jeffrey Epstein been gone?
4 years? 5 years?
8 years.
8?
8 years. Yeah.
Was that pre-COVID? Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That list just coming out now.
Yeah. Who's on the list?
Yeah.
Who is on the list?
I tell you, who's not on the list. I'm not on that list, so.
Well, no, I'm not either. But and that one lady, why ain't she talking? Or has she talked? That's what I'd like to know. All she's got to do is tell the list and say I'll talk, and they'd probably let her walk.
Oh, Giselle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just along for the ride. That's an injustice. That's an injustice.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? We should do an ancestry show. We should do a pre-ancestry show. Get people to call in to tell their ancestry stories and what legal issues have arisen because of those ancestry stories. That would be a good show.
Do you remember the guy a couple years ago? He was an old man, a white man. The only way they found him is because he did that, was it 23 DNA?
23andMe.
23andMe?
Mm-hmm.
And they got his DNA, and they traced him back to all these murders he had committed. They brought him in a wheelchair, this old man.
Wow.
I'm going to go look that up this week.
Wow.
That is how they found him, because of his DNA that he gave from 23andMe. Yeah. And I did it and you did it.
Well, you and I we got to do a show where we share what we discovered. We got to be honest with it. I'm going to knock your socks off with my story. So now what I do with my students in my African American heritage class is we do our ancestry test. We do that. But you should do a show on that where we have folks call in and tell us about their discoveries on their ancestries, and then we talk about some of the legal issues that arise because of that. All right?
Okay.
They have to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Property issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Copyright issues with regard to research that you do, perhaps research that you do on the your ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
Are there copyright issues or intellectual property issues? We should do a show like that.
Okay.
I think people will get a kick out of our stories.
Well, there's a lot of stories. There's a lot of good stories.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you and I will talk about me coming back. Come back on a couple of Saturdays. Drive down. It was a cold day this morning. It's cold.
Well, I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, I'm glad I did.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it a lot. Enjoy sitting here talking to you. First time we met face to face, and I've enjoyed talking about the subject matter. Subject matter is not going to go away. Immigration is not going to go away. Concept of American identity is not going to go away. I think we need to start having these conversations more frequently about what does it mean to be American, because I think there are differing attitudes about what that means. For instance, I don't want to go into this because this will take a long time. when Colin Kaepernick is seen as un-American because he kneels during the national anthem. That has everything to do with what someone believes is the American identity and what it means to be an American, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus what someone else believes it means to be an American, saying, well, to be an American is to protest. That's the freedoms that we have. And then for others to say, no, you can't do that because it's disrespectful to the flag. So I think we need to have these, could be the forum where we start having that kind of conversation about what is the American identity and what's the American dream and what does that look like? How much time we have left? Okay. All right. But I think we should dig into that more. I'd like to, maybe we can invite some other guests onto the show, to talk about it. I know I have some candidates who would love to call in. A couple of gentlemen in a group that I'm a part of in Tuscaloosa called the Unity Group, where we talk about, we try to stay away from politics, but we talk about all things that have to do with race and how we can do a better job in bringing the community together. It's a group that was started out of the Church of the Highlands down in Tuscaloosa. But I think I have a couple of colleagues that would love to call in that you'd engage with very well in talking about this whole concept of the American identity and the American dream and American culture. And what does it mean to have the American culture? For that matter, what does it mean to have Alabama culture, right? So what's the one thing for me to be a true Alabamian since I've been here for 3 years? What's the one thing that I need to do? Both.
That's easy.
What is it?
Religion.
That's easy. Got that one. Go ahead.
Sweet tea.
I cannot take the sweet tea.
I drink unsweet, uniced tea. I drink unsweet, uniced tea, Doc.
Okay.
And ribs, Dreamland. That's all you need.
Okay, the ribs, I'm all in on the ribs.
And football.
Football, I'm all in. You mean Alabama football or Auburn football?
No. College football.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't have pro teams.
Right, I'm in.
Religion, tea, Dreamland, football. That's all you need.
Tea, barbecue, football, religion.
That's it. Bang, you agree? He agrees. We all agreed.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've gotten all of them except the sweet tea.
Yeah, I don't need sweet tea. Unsweet tea.
So
unsweet tea is good for your liver, and it keeps your arteries, the plaque out of your arteries build up. Bang, because you drink all that cotton candy. Bang. Hello. Oh, okay. Tea, unsweet tea, folks. Unsweet tea. Doc, I love you. Thank you for doing this today.
It's been a pleasure.
Man, I am so privileged to have had the opportunity to spend 2 hours with you.
And
Thank you.
Have I. I feel the same way about you as well. I'll be back. Okay?
All right. Folks, Doc from Stillman College came to Birmingham. Lovely debate. Download this on iHeartRadio, Joe Ingram Law, The Legal Lowdown, on the south side, just off the UAB campus. I wish we had talked about other things, but this was fascinating, and he'll be back again. And we're done? We're done? Really? I got to go run 15 miles, Doc. All right,
Thanks
y'all
for
have a
tuning
good
into
week.
The Legal
Bye.
Lowdown with Birmingham's own Joe Ingram of Ingram Law. Don't forget to follow Joe's Legal Lowdown podcast on iHeart. If you need a private legal consultation, reach out to Joe on his website, joeingramlaw.com. Tune in again next Saturday at 6 a.m. for the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, exclusively on News Radio 105.5 WERC.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by any other lawyer.